to the Voiceover Round Table. I'm Mike Tobin.
And I'm Emma O'Neill. Every week, we get together to talk about all things voiceover, with a special focus on community.
Bringing you in-depth interviews, roundtable discussions, special performance events, and industry-leading guests.
Let's get started. This is the Voiceover Round Table. So I'm going to get right into Bio Part 1. Because our guest is patiently waiting. Our guest tonight is a founding partner of ACM Talent and a top global social media influencer in his field. In a previous role as a vice president for over a decade at William Morris Agency, he represented A-list celebrities and iconic voice talent. He's a Syracuse University College of Law graduate and a board member of the Society of Voice Arts and Sciences, otherwise known as SOVAS.
His boldly informative book, Instincts of a Talent Agent, shows how to conquer the entertainment industry using an entrepreneur's specific skill set. And in the book, he shares deeply personal experiences from the trenches with names like Lauren Bacall, Floyd Mayweather Jr., Christopher Reeve, Quentin Tarantino, Whoopi Goldberg, J.J. Abrams, Dr. Phil, and more, as well as what he learned and how to apply those principles.
Please welcome to the Voiceover Roundtable our special guest tonight. Well, hello, Mr. Marc Guss.
La 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 la. La. I was so into the music. I love the waiting room music you have.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you for having me, by the way. Sounds like me, by the way, this introduction, but thank you.
It does, well, you know, we did get it from a reliable source. So we're pretty sure that the information is correct. And we managed to get you back on Clubhouse.
You did. Well,
right?
Congratulations for creating this group here. Just as I took off, you guys are taking it to another level. And I think it's fantastic. So congrats to both you, Emma, and Mike.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I want to share some congratulations, Marc, because first I want to say congratulations on the book's success.
Thank you.
And in particular, I wanted to say thank you for the choice that you made, because I know you wrote a little bit about this on socials and stuff like that. The choice you made to personally record the audiobook version of it. Because I think it really brings us in as listeners, and knowing that these are your experiences in your words, but now in your voice. And what was that experience like?
It was great. I actually didn't. I didn't want to have it any other way, and my publisher actually said that it wasn't. It's not going to happen because Audible is going to use whoever they want to use, but so I knew I could do it, not because I'm a voice actor, even though this is my first gig, so it was quite an experience, but that's just the way it is, and I didn't push the envelope just to set an example, or I was adamant about it because this is what I do, and if it had to be someone that wasn't me, then I was going to suggest one or two of my clients who I thought would do a really good job, who know me very well. But the experience was fantastic. It was 3 days, and surprisingly, it flew by. And I don't know if the engineer was being extra kind those days, but he let me roll for the most part, and it was great.
Well, it came out really nice, and I think it's appropriate. I think that's the word that I was looking for.
I think so too. I really think so too, and I do commend others who strive to do the same, to want to read the book, because a lot of people don't, and especially celebrity, like they just don't do it. A lot of them don't, and I don't know if it's a time issue or I don't know what it is, but we did a ton of celebrity deals for books when I was at William Morris, and a lot of them didn't. But but yeah, it's a special project. So I was very happy to do it. But thank you for the compliment.
Just to add to that, I think I messaged you at one point right after I had gotten the book, and I said I could hear your voice speaking while I was reading the book, and this was before you did the audiobook. And it was
That's
like, I
so
was reading
funny.
something, and I messaged you, and I was like, oh my God, Mark, I can totally hear you saying this.
Yeah. I do remember you sending that to me, but it made a lot of sense. So yes, thank you.
You're very welcome.
And I'll do the shameless plug here for those of you who have not yet picked up the book or audiobook, because it is available in multiple formats. I've pinned the link to Marc's website up at the top of the page. So if you do want to go and check that out, there's no push, but I'm telling you, it's a great piece of work. And if you are curious, then go and check it out by all means. So it's pinned up at the top.
Very cool. Thank you for doing that. That's such a fun feature. We're going to take a lot of questions from the room tonight. And I'm just double checking that she is not in the room, and I'm pretty sure she's not in the room, but Charlie Albers sent me a question last night because she can't be here.
Love Charlie, by the way.
She's so great. I love Charlie. Mm-hmm. She's just such an incredible talent and person. She's just a wonderful, wonderful woman.
Yes.
Love her. So, and you're going to get a lot of questions about representation and management for voiceover talent. But she asks, and she was like, yes, you can absolutely use my name. How much is too much? When a voice actor wants to join your roster, ticks all of the boxes, but still has no joy in getting signed, when is it time to walk away? Do you ever just say no to an actor, or do you respect the tenacity and persistence? Do you keep things open?
I do. I think it should always be open, and the boxes just might not be checked for whatever reason at the specific time that it's happening. And we've signed talent who we've been in touch with, who I personally have been in touch with, and they, and everything worked out, and it was a success. So the answer is that, well, it's not only Charlie asking the question, but one can assume, and this isn't about Charlie, this is just about talent in general. One can assume that all of the boxes are checked. Like who's making that decision? You know what I mean?
Right.
We don't know. I mean, it's very subjective. The entertainment business in general, voiceover included. I just got so someone sent me a message on LinkedIn 4 days ago telling me that I have to sign them because they are doing animation work, and they have to, and I have to sign them because they need someone to handle it for them.
Did it work?
No, it didn't. It didn't because for whatever reason, first of all, it has to go through a different process than that. Right. But it was pushed a little bit further, and then and then the passive final message of thanks for your time kind of thing. Right. But again, first of all, we don't have the roster that allows for that type of representation the way we used to when we were agents at the bigger agencies, because when we were those rosters, and they continue to be very large rosters, and they continue to not allow for the stretching of the opportunities that we do on a daily basis. So because we have like 7 of, I call it like this high-end food court of voiceover that, we just like feed and feed and feed until they're just like ready to barf. It's like, because like some talent, a lot of talent that we have, and I love this problem, will say like, how the hell are we supposed to get to all these auditions today? Someone
it's a problem to have.
It is, but that's time management on the talent side, right? We just signed someone recently who wanted to taste that, and is with another agency, but because we're managers, we're able to still represent someone who is with an agency, which to us is a win-win for everyone in this day and age. Because when I was at William Morris, or Robin was at Buchwald, or Phil was at ICM, or Melanie was at Abrams or A3, it was, the answer was, well, when you leave your agent, then call me, because that's just the way it was. But I love the more the merrier activity in this day and age of the model that we are able to, to provide for our, these plentiful opportunities for our clients. In fact, like I was just going to say, that someone we just signed was telling us that they were getting, I don't know, like voice actors tend to ask other voice actors, and base how many auditions you get, like during the week, as a barometer of, is it a good place to be or not? Like it just happens to be like, how many do you get a day and how many do you get a week, without really understanding like the quality of the opportunities. It's like asking, well, how big is the diamond that you got? How big is it?
4Cs.
Right.
Ask the 4Cs.
Emma knows her 4C stuff. So we know this, right? So, right. I mean, you could have the shittiest 4-carat whatever, but if you really dig deep, you understand what it's about. But I was pleased to hear that his first couple of weeks with us, he was able to conclude that, one day he got 25 auditions, one day he got 15 auditions, one day he got over 25 auditions, and he was like, well, I was kind of used to getting 3 auditions, So, good for him, and, hopefully it works out, but it's a very new situation. But opportunities is what it's about, right? Like that's what everyone wants or should want.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Yeah, okay. And great opportunities at that.
Absolutely.
Nice. We're going to get, I'm sure, a lot of questions about representation and seeking it out and management and things like that. But I want to go on something different for a second here. According to pretty much any source you look at these days, I see that the fastest growing sport in North America is...
Wow.
Dun, dun,
Pickleball. Pickleball.
Mike, why did I love the fact that we're talking about this, and I'm sure that 90% of the people here aren't going to be appreciative of that we're talking about, just because they might not be playing or know it. But Mike, why did you? Were you in one of my groups?
I want to frame it this way, because I know that you've talked about it recently. It's not a new sport. But many say that the rapid growth recently is thanks to the pandemic. I mean, pickleball has apparently been around for a long time.
Right.
Even though I was talking to my mother telling me my brother, who's 7 years my senior, oh yeah, he just signed up for a pickleball league with his wife. And like, okay,
I think 1965, but
something like that.
It just took off so quickly recently. To me, because I really didn't know about it. I was a tennis player and I played college tennis and I taught tennis. So, I would poo-poo, that kind of sport. But yeah, it feels like it just started.
Yeah. So where I was going with it is, I know that recently you made this analogy between the voiceover business and pickleball, particularly
shout out to Tiffany.
With regards, Tiffany's tracking this. There's like tracking happening, and it's awesome. So shout out to Tiffany. So you made this analogy between the voiceover business and pickleball, particularly with regards to where a voice actor finds themselves in their career, like in parallel to pickleball's players' skills and success levels. You want to smack that around for us for a bit?
Yeah. I'll do a dink shot, and then maybe I'll smash it. But
all right.
But I have to say, I mean, if anyone wants to just check it out, just go to YouTube, check out some pickleball matches. It's just getting bigger and bigger, and it's so much fun, and it's easy to play, especially if you have if you were some kind of a racket sport player. And by the way, I played today, and I played in a tournament this past weekend. I don't only compare pickleball voiceover, make the comparison to from pickleball to voiceover, but to life in general. Like, for whatever reason, like it just makes so much sense. And the best pickleball players have purpose. The best pickleball players are not just they're playing chess every day. They're playing with patience. And someone who first starts playing is wild, and especially if they come from tennis, like they're just smashing. They're called bangers. Bangers are the players who are just smashing the ball with no real purpose, but the ones who are playing chess and have patience and are ultimately going to do well are the ones who have the ability to smash, but you don't need to smash. You don't need to go over the top every day. I mean, there's so many parallels to life in general. You don't have to go overboard. If you play it right, and we were talking about representation, you could take a page out of the patience of dinking a little bit, which is it's volleying. It's the volley of pickleball. But when I play, so pickleball is primarily played as a doubles game, and when I played college tennis, and I was like number 4 singles, number 5 singles, like somewhere around there. And I would tell my coach, like, just don't don't put me in a doubles match. Like, I just want to play singles. And for some reason, he was fine with that. And because the other players, I gave other players the time to play as well. But I just didn't play doubles. And the reason I didn't play doubles is probably because here's a sport that I just want, like, if I was able to control it on my own, and then it's just me and I'm not relying on anyone else. But pickleball is primarily a doubles game, so you're playing against players who may be better or not as good, and then you have a partner who may not be as good or better. But it's hard not to get frustrated, because it's an exercise in life every time I play, because you don't want to roll your eyes, and you don't want to, it really takes discipline to to stay in control and not offend somebody. But the key, what I get out of pickleball, and it was a post that I tweeted about a couple of weeks ago, was hitting a shot with purpose. Like, if you don't hit a shot if you're just hitting the ball to get the ball over, there's a really good chance that you're going to have the ball hit you in the face at some point. And you're also setting yourself up, your partner up, for the kill shot or for the winning shot. So it does take teamwork, and I crossed out. So the post was something along the lines of play pickleball with purpose, and then I crossed out the words and substituted voiceover, record your auditions with purpose. And the reason I think that's so important is, and I speak to my clients all the time about this, is that there are shades of a way to read something that might just deviate a hair from what you normally do, but a lot of talent are very hesitant to veer from that. First of all, if you get enough auditions, then you shouldn't worry about this. But taking a chance is a deliberate hit. And I'm not saying that you should go way over the top with an audition, but if you're in a place where everything is really in your sweet spot and you're just killing it and you're just booking, just left and right, then I would say play that game. I think you're doing okay. But there are a lot of talent out there who are not that fortunate, not because they're not talented, but just because that's just the way the game is played, the voiceover game is played, and that's just the way the entertainment industry is. And a lot of people sound like a regular person with a conversational read, and a lot of people are very talented and a lot of people can book it, but what sets you apart is, could make the difference. So if you are feeling like you're not booking, and you're doing well, you're talented, and you're being coached, and you have your demo, and you have your agent, and you have your opportunities, everyone faces this. Don't don't put yourself in a negative mindset. Keep yourself in a positive mindset. Just switch it up a little bit. Like I'm not going for the smash every time. I'm not going for the lob every time. I'm not going for a dink every time. I'm mixing it up. I'm being very unpredictable. And I'm not saying, and you have to be careful because you don't want to be completely unpredictable where your agent or whoever represents you doesn't even recognize you anymore. But stay within your sweet spot, but be open to mixing it up a little bit.
Okay.
So there's so many pickleball analogies that I have, and I'm so obsessed with the game, and thank you, Mike, for bringing that. I might bring it up again. I'm sure I will. In
Probably.
Whatever. Yeah.
You can tell you're a little bit interested in it.
Yeah.
The way that you talk about it. So yeah, love that. Love that. We are going to do something crazy now, and we're going to open things up. It's going to be like, so to keep this, instead of a mob on Black Friday running through the door to get the sales.
Oh dear.
We're just going to bring a few people up on stage at a time, just so that we're going to try to get as many questions answered as possible. Please do keep in mind that there are people waiting behind you, so please do not try to monopolize the time on stage. Thank you so much. So.
What did you say?
Exactly. So your pickleball Black Friday sales. We're just using analogies all over the place tonight. That's what's happening.
Yeah, let's see if we can get a whole whack of questions in for Marc here. And we already have a couple of hands up. And by all means, if you put your hand up and we haven't brought you up on the stage yet, keep the hand up because we're going to just gradually bring a few more. And with that said, the first hand with us that was up for us is actually Tiffany.
Fantastic.
Tiffany.
Also, just a quick note, if you're shy and you don't want to come up on stage, but you have a question, put it in the chat.
Yeah. We love that too. That's fine.
Tiffany, if your mic is not working, pull the Steve Snyder method.
I'm here.
We all know the Steven Snyder method, don't we?
Exactly.
Right.
I was trying to get to a safe place from my dogs.
By the way, not only is Tiffany super talented, but she seems to be my doubles partner now in this rating. Like we're putting a skill level system together, a rating level system together that mirrors the pickleball system. So we're trying to perfect it. But we go on so many tangents, right, Tiffany, that we're hopefully we'll come back to it.
Yeah. I'm trying to capture as much of the conversation about it as I can, and then I know at some point in the future you'll want to talk about it directly. So
I reached out to Tiffany on Instagram and I was like, okay, we're putting the show together and Mike needs to know about pickleball. Can I just send him to you? She's like, absolutely. She sends me Google Docs. I'm like, I'm just going to send him your way. Okay, thank you. Bye. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. So we ready?
Yeah. Do it.
All right. I wasn't expecting to go first, so I actually have a fun question, kind of an atypical question, but I guess since we're on this theme of analogies, it'll fit right in. So as a fellow small dog owner and child wrangler, and just a quick disclaimer, I don't have my own children, but I have a side business as a childcare provider. I find that I learn so many things from my dogs and from the children I care for weekly. And I'm just wondering, I'd like to hear, Marc, what is something or some things you have learned from your daughter or your dog that apply to life as an entrepreneur?
As your dog, as I hear a dog in the back. That was great. Your dog approves of that question. First of all, I love dogs, and I love my dog. This is my third dog. Her name is Belle. She's a Shih Tzu Bichon. She just turned 6 a couple days ago. And my second dog is with my mom in Brooklyn, and he is 17 and a half years old, and he's a little long-haired Chihuahua. And if you're not a dog person, I mean, a lot of people are cat people, a lot of, just pet people in general. The loyalty that is there on a daily basis is just, it's hard to comprehend if you don't have it and you don't see it.
Yep.
That, my dog, I'm like the alpha person to my dog, so she follows me everywhere. Dogs tend to, find the owner who they look at as the alpha. Like, it just usually happens in the pack, the quote unquote pack. And by the way, when my daughter was a year old and she started walking a little bit, and Belle, my dog, is curled into my stomach on the couch, and Sienna is walking over towards me and like kind of leans over towards me, and Belle is like, rah, 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 like just going crazy, and I'm like, holy shit, like I have to really take care of this and not let this happen again. So Belle can't sit next to me when Sienna is walking around. Like, I have to say off. I hate doing it, but you have to teach the dog where they are in the pack.
Yep.
And it takes a while to do that. They're still super smart and understand. Like, I love seeing her and my dog running to the window and seeing who's out there and whatever, and then she's like running right behind her, and they're looking out the window together. Like, I don't know, like I just get joy out of like those little things. But as far as what I've learned from both of them is that I'm still floored by my having a daughter, because I was a lot late to the game, because a lot of my friends got married a lot earlier, and they might have kids who could have a 2-year-old, or soon could have a 2-year-old, kids going to college, and I have a 2-year-old. But I kind of love it. Like, you just, like, your life is your life, and it is what it is, and it happened the way it happened. And, it might not have been her. It probably wouldn't be her, like, back then. But, the fact that I just have that, it's like 2 shadows now that follow me around the house. And it's just incredible.
Tiffany.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, there's more. I mean, I wasn't really prepared for that, but there is so much. I mean, if I think about it more, like there's just so much joy that comes with it that I never thought I would. And you hear that. I mean, it's very cliche, but it's so true.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And how does it relate to voiceover? Let's think about it. I don't know. Steven Snyder is brought in here too. I mean, he has a few kids too, so he might be able to impart his wisdom on this as well. But Tiffany, great question. I'm sure I'll be speaking to you again real soon, so we could chat more.
Wonderful.
About it.
Thanks.
Thanks for being here.
Mr. Steven Snyder, how are you?
So good.
Welcome.
Kids keep me sick constantly.
They are walking germ bags.
They're
it's true.
Filthy little animals that just keep me constantly with a cold
They like to cough in your mouth, like directly into your mouth when they cough.
I keep them at arm's length constantly, just in case I have to talk to somebody like Marc Guss, and I just like, get away from me, all of you. I need a Nerf gun. and a squirt gun constantly.
Stephen, I feel like I'm perpetually hoarse, like my voice, and stuffed, because you just every day there's something else that's coming in.
It never seems to get better. Thank you guys so much for having me, Mark. I'm madly in love with you. Thank you for bringing me up here.
Likewise.
Mark, can you do me a favor? Tell me about ACM Stance. Oh, congratulations about the working on the audio too, man. I want to talk to you about that at some point. But can you tell me about ACM Stance, or how you feel about freelancers working with ACM and those relationships that you have? Can you go into detail about that a little bit?
Well, we don't freelance. We were very careful about constructing the talent roster that we have, and so we don't freelance when it comes to the main roster that we have, because we have filled that in. If you think about the 20s and the 30s and the 40s and the 50s, like that, it's there. So when it comes to kids, or it comes to an older sound, or it comes to an accent, we tend to we have our talent that we go to, who are not signed, but we do want, we may want to make sure that we're able to fill a need, so we do it that way. We do have, hopefully there is going to be another announcement, I hope, that is going to just really crush the voiceover world in a very positive way. Been thinking about this for a while, but it really crystallized not too long ago. But the answer is we don't freelance when it comes to the traditional U.S. speaking voice without an accent.
Fair enough.
Phantom, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you guys for having me.
But Stephen, that's atypical of the way traditional agency representation works, because there is a lot of freelancing that goes on. There's a lot of freelancing that goes on. There's a lot of freelancing that goes on, with those lists. Plus, there's a lot of testing, experimenting with talent to see, how it goes. And we've all done that before at agencies, but that's just not necessarily. I mean, some managers actually. There actually one in particular that I know that I've heard has done that, maybe continues to do that, I don't know, but we don't. We are very particular about signing someone, and everybody has to be on board, which is really cool. Like, nobody who gets signed will ever say, like, oh, can you put in a good word for me to whoever in LA. They're on board already, and they're getting as many opportunities as possible, so they're being taken care of. And by the way, they're also, and just to tangent a little bit, they're also, no one's asking to for that extra push into promos or narration or trailers or whatever. They're all getting as many opportunities as possible that we could possibly get someone. So we just feel like that is the best way to represent talent in this day and age. So that's why we're doing it that way. And Stephen, I just want to thank you, by the way, for always joining the club wherever I am as well. And what Stephen just did recently, I was talking about a flashlight last year. Stephen sends me like the best flashlight to walk my dog at night. Amazing. And he just put together these buttons. Like, if anyone read my book, I was the button boy from my leather store in Brooklyn.
That's the story that, I love that story.
Thank you so much. But Stephen is so creative and so smart and so nice. Like, I always say, he's like the nicest guy in the industry. And what did he do? He made me 20 buttons that, with the pin in the back, from pictures of me and my wife and my dog and my kid and my mom, and just like on and on and on. And Stephen, I just can't tell you how much that meant to me. And you're such a good guy, and you're so special. And thank you again for that and everything you do, every contribution that you make to the industry.
Hey, thank you, Mark. I really appreciate it, and I thank you for your time. And a connoisseur like yourself will recognize very fourth-rate, shoddy button creation when you see it. But
I love it.
it came from the heart, man. Thank you so
I
much
love
for
it.
having me. You
Thank
guys are
you.
amazing. Thank you,
Well,
Mark.
you're being
Thank
hard
you.
on your button skills, but you're definitely strong on the support skills. We love the support that you bring us here as well
He's
on
awesome.
Voiceover Round Table, Stephen.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it. Emma, I think you were working on a question from the chat.
Yes, it was. I actually have a question that this question in the chat will go with. So,
Oh, cool.
so you're saying that ACM doesn't do trial signs like some agencies do, which is cool,
Right?
And don't do freelance. What about how often, or have you ever signed someone who's relatively new to the industry, but you hear them and you know there's something there, and you're like, you know what, I'm just going to take a chance?
I want to do it all the time. I do.
But?
I really do. But the management, the representation model doesn't allow for that. It's not to say that we are not good. We won't sign someone who isn't entrenched in voiceover and isn't making a living in voiceover. We've done that for years and years and years. I mean, that's just the way it is. And there are many places to be represented that way and ascend to a level, whether it's with the help of representation or your own, because there's the industry allows you to be the business partner that you should be, to be the entrepreneur that you can be, and to make a business of something, some tangible business in voiceover for yourself, where you then are able to present that with your talent. So it's not like you can't do it. If you don't do it and you're just about you do everything for me, that just doesn't work in this, it just doesn't work for us.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, Brennan in the chat had a question. He was going to come on stage, but he doesn't think his audio is going to be up to scratch. He says his question is, I've been doing audiobook narration for a few years, and I'm really just dipping my toe in the water for voiceover work, but I have yet to take that leap. What should I be looking for in an agent or agency as a newbie in voiceover work?
But he's doing audio, like an extensive audiobook work. And still considering himself to be a newbie? I'm a little confused.
That's what it says. That's right. What it says.
So let's think about this. So let's talk about talent who do audiobooks primarily because they got into that arena somehow, whether, self-marketing or, whatever it is. It's interesting. A lot of people don't think of themselves as like this full range voiceover talent because it's such a specific area. Yeah. I do agree. I do believe it. I mean, it is a specific area, and it isn't for everyone. It takes a lot of time. It doesn't pay that well. It's very time consuming. Like I sometimes dread getting an email from someone who wants one of my clients to do an audiobook. It is a good business in and of itself. Like I think someone who really focuses on audiobooks and makes a great living doing so, that's fantastic. But it kind of gets in the way of so many other things. Like I don't know how someone who does that primarily would be able to get to all the audition opportunities that we provide. I just don't know. It's a tough one. But as far as, I don't consider someone who is in the audiobook world primarily that they're not, full force voiceover talent. They, it's just a different speed, and it's a different. It's just taking different ground strokes. Here I go again, but it's just take it.
It was only a matter of time.
Right. I knew Mike would say that. Yeah. So yeah. But it's still something that's really tangible to present yourself for representation to an agent or a manager. I certainly wouldn't call someone who does considerable audiobook work a newbie.
That's a great answer. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a couple of people come up on stage.
Corinne is up on stage.
Hello. Hi, how is everyone doing?
Doing well.
Good, good. Thank you for taking my question.
Absolutely.
Since being involved in trying to be successful in voiceover, I'm finding it's more competitive than I initially thought, coming from an entirely different career. So I'm just wondering how much you think initial success is due to actual marketing and contacts versus performance or talent.
I think it's a whole stew. STEW, and I think someone who is diving into voiceover should be making and eating that stew every day. There's so much opportunity out there. Like, where are you? When did you, Corinne? When did you start doing this?
Well, I retired from education in July, and since then I've been taking classes, setting up my studio, getting demos done. So I'm at the point now where I'm trying to, go heavy into marketing. And I'm also on a pay-by-play.
You're on pay to play. So you, by the way, you naturally sound, and your experience, what you bring to the table is from the world of education. So the corporate world, the e-learning world, the audiobook world would be great places for you to dig in, and those are the places where you can be more successful at marketing yourself than the other areas, like the bread and butter areas of traditional agencies, like commercials and promos and narrations, and and digital now, and that type of work, video games, and so have you been? Is that something that you have been doing? Like, are you marketing yourself to that sector of the business?
Yeah, that is part of my major plan. I did take an e-learning course, and I am leaning toward e-learning corporate, and I also went through an audiobook program. So I have.
So there you go. So I just called your wheelhouse. But by the way, do you have an acting background?
Very little. When I was in college, I did take a commercial and soap opera course, and I did do some community and high school theater.
Got it. I thought, well, that's still something more than someone telling me that they were in You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown in day camp in third grade, and that's the extent of it. But, that's not bad either, but it's something, and you obviously have had this desire to perform because now you're trying to come into your own. But what I would recommend, in addition to, so here's the thing, talent who are very successful in corporate and e-learning and audiobooks, they have a choice to be wildly successful in that area and continue to market themselves. And you know what? A lot of people make a really decent living there, like multi-six figures doing that. However, what boggles my mind sometimes is someone who is just satisfied with that. They're in the voiceover world, but they're not interested in branching out into other areas. I don't know, maybe they're too busy or they just don't have the desire to it, but to do it. But there's a whole other world out there. I would recommend that you take some acting classes, that you take some improv classes, that you take some stand-up comedy classes, that you just go out there in a different type of performance world than you're accustomed to, just to shake you up a little bit and break, because right now I could hear it in your voice. It's so soothing and it's so educational and it's so nice. And it will, and I'm sure, that and I know that there is an audience for that, but traditional voiceover isn't that, but it's still, that's why voiceover is so amazing, because it is that now. Like 20 years ago, it wasn't that. No one even heard of that, like e-learning and, doing corporate work on your own. It was like all the agents who, just controlled everything, and they were providing commercial opportunities for the most part for talent. So if you want to get into that game, it's a really fun. Hey, Emma and Mike, isn't it a fun game?
Diversification is fun, and that stuff. Yeah, and I think to what you're saying, Mark, you don't need to stay in one set of things.
Right.
Like if your jam when you start is e-learning and audiobooks, and a few years later you discover commercial, that's okay.
Right. Which is the mainstream. Right.
Yeah, that's your bread and butter. Once you get into it, that's bread and butter.
That's what's cool about voiceover. There's so much different stuff.
Corinne, do you have a commercial demo right now, or do you have a corporate demo or an e-learning demo?
I have commercial and 3 audiobook samples.
And when you put your commercial demo together, did you how did that process go for you? Because when you put a commercial demo together, I'm wondering if it leans more educational, more corporate. Do you think it does?
No, I think it leans more towards that soothing voice type, and I almost wish I made it a little more exciting. But it's my first demo, so
right.
There is one. Well, there are a couple of spots actually. It's very short. It's a minute. There's 2 spots that are very, that soothing voice that. I do very well with, and then there's a couple that are.
There is a soothing quality to you, but like making it more energetic or something that you're not right this minute in performance could also backfire a little bit. So, just because, you have to back it up with the audition and a booking and bookings. So, my recommendation would be to, just keep at it and keep training and keep coaching and try to get into those types of classes. It'll totally break you out of the, that day to day of the more serious stuff that you're in. But soothing is good, but soothing with the acting ability is a whole other level of voiceover.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Absolutely. Improv is your friend. Improv in business is your friend.
Coaching.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Thanks for the question, Corinne.
Okay.
Before we go to Terry, just a quick mid-show thing. If you joined us partway through this evening's show, this is the Voiceover Round Table here on Clubhouse. Every Tuesday evening, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific, where we talk about all things voiceover with a special focus on community. Bringing you roundtable discussions, special events, and industry-leading guests. Tonight, no exception, we're chatting with ACM Talent co-founder and best-selling author, Marc Guss.
And Mark, we wanted to thank you again for being with us and taking so many questions. And I know you probably get these very often. So thank you for being so generous with your knowledge and your experience.
Thank you.
It's fantastic.
And how great is social media that I could get to know, what you're up to with, the new back art that you have with the,
right?
I know that you have new back art. I know that you moved your office from downstairs to upstairs.
I did.
I know that, it's so funny when Robin Starr joined us when she was at Buckwold for a long time. I told her that there's a whole rabbit hole of voiceover talent on the social media platforms, right? And she's so funny. We went to, I forget which conference we were at. It might have been Atlanta a few years ago, and someone came up to her and she said, "Oh my God, how how's your living room or something? Like, how the pipes turn out? Like, it turned out like someone busted their pipes, and like it was a big, story on Facebook. So it's just funny. Like, but it's great because the fact that I do know about some things, and everyone has a million things going on, and it's such an ADD world out there.
Yeah.
But there's something that you're doing that is not just pitching yourself as like, oh, here's my demo, like here's a spot that I just did. Like, how do you separate yourself from the rest of the pack? And you're doing it in a clever way. I mean, you and Mike are doing it in, as a community industry forum here on Clubhouse, and you're posting, and Mike, do you live in Canada?
I do. I'm in Ottawa.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I mean, I just think that it's part of the day to day, and I say this all the time that, just when someone says, "Oh yeah, I'm not really on LinkedIn," or "I haven't been taking advantage of it," like you really,
so silly.
like it has to be part of your day to day, and content that has value to your peers is so important, because you want to connect with as many peers as possible. You want to have LinkedIn tell you, okay, we're done connecting this week. Thank you. Like you're at your limit. Like, get to your limit. Like, get to your limit when it comes to LinkedIn. Get to your limit when it comes to everything. And when you're thinking about posting, like, what is it? And I love having these conversations with my clients, because it's about putting your money where your mouth is. I started on Twitter like 7 years ago, and then I made a concerted effort to, do the rest of the platforms. And I first, by the way, said, I'm not going into the peer group of LinkedIn. It was just buyer oriented, like strictly buyer oriented. And then I opened it wide, I cracked it wide open, and the audience there is fantastic, and
It really is.
It allows you to promote in a clever, obviously not in a braggadocious way, but in a even though some people do, I'm just saying, like, it allows you to promote yourself, and it's okay to promote yourself, because most people are there for the social/business. So it's
Yeah,
great.
I mean, the last time you and I had a chat, it was about pillow forts.
It was about what?
You were like, I love your posts about pillow forts.
Oh yeah. Didn't I tell you that you should like go crazy?
Do more of them. Yeah, don't worry.
There's a whole Facebook group dedicated
there are
to
conferences coming that
Love
I
it.
will have many pillow forts and tours of said pillow fort.
Love it.
I wanted to with questions. Sorry, bring it back. We're bringing it back. There's one thing we hear often in the voiceover industry, and it's said a lot here all the time, is that you don't know what you don't know. And when it comes to seeking representation on different levels, talent management, sometimes what we do as talent isn't like what to do as talent isn't clear or cut and dry. So if you could share, what are some things you want more voice talent to know, like what to do in their search?
In their search for
representation at different, like, what do you like? There's so many people, especially newer people, or like the question from Brennan about audiobooks. Like now he's asking about resume. So it's like there's a lot of people who come into this industry, but they're literally kind of flying blind. Like they don't know where to start. And if you were to take a person from beginning, middle to full representation, how would that look? Like if you're like, I can mold you from the beginning. How would that look?
Well, I mean, it would start with the basic acting classes, and I mean, some people that I've represented, that we've represented, have done really well from the start and have just had a knack for it. But those are the exceptions. Like, it really is about building. I mean, how many people do you hear who are very well established in the industry and very successful, who say, I've been doing the, I didn't have my first real national network booking for, commercial for 3 years or 4 years, or, like I really encourage people to hang in there, because if it is your passion, just like acting might be, or music might be, or theater might be, there's no reason to give up on it. There's so many people who are doing it and doing it well. Just because it's super competitive doesn't mean that you should give up on it. But I think starting from square one, you really have to be prepared for the long haul. And the stereotype, which is so cliche at this point, of, oh, I have a good voice and people tell me I should do voiceover. And like, I hear it's a good way to make a lot of money, thinking that it's like this side job. We all hear that all the time. I mean, it is a bit, I don't hear that much about motion picture, right?
I was just going to say, buying a racket at Dick's Sporting Goods makes you not a pickleball professional.
Exactly. So so many examples of that. But yes, be prepared for the long haul, and just keep studying and keep pushing it, and keep learning about it. I mean, people went to Karen's, my client Karen Guilford. She just did, her and Jamie just
Vocation.
did Vocation. They went out there and they met a lot of people. Some people went to LA to, the Sovas event, or are going to the next conferences, or, just understanding and learning. And it doesn't mean, like, you could, if you want to sit back and just and absorb it all without being impatient, you could learn a ton by being on the social media platforms, by going to some of the events, by learning, but without really like coming out, and setting up shop yet. Just be careful. And it's a small business. It's a small world, and there's no reason to have to push representation. Like, we have so many submissions that come in every day, and we go through every single one of them, by the way. But there's so many that come in, and I'm really shocked at how many come in that are really serious when they say, I'm looking for representation, I'm looking for those opportunities, and they're really just they're just getting started, or they didn't even get started.
Wow, that's very helpful.
How do they know? Like I think that's one of the things that seems to come up a lot is, how do I know I'm ready for X? And I think people sometimes, not that they're fooling themselves, but they just don't know. They don't know what it means to compete at a certain level or to submit at a certain level. Most people don't know that there are different levels of agency out there, that certain requirements are different for certain levels of agencies and stuff like that. Like, those aren't things that are written in a book somewhere or that are very easily accessed.
Next book.
Yeah.
Huh? There you go.
Next book.
Tiffany can attest to this, because I'm going right back to pickleball for a second. If you're a 4.0 rated, if you're rated 4.0, like a high rating in pickleball is like, you're a 4.5, you're a 5.5, you're a pro. You're a pro at 5.5. So if you're a 4.0, like, you're entrenched in the business and you're doing really well and you have representation, and you're booking from different areas. Just like in pickleball, if you're a 4.0, you can hit the forehand, you can hit the backhand, you can hit the lob, you can hit the dink, you can hit the smash. So it is a well-rounded talent, and there are people who join the intermediate league, where they might, intermediate is like 3.0 to 3.5, where they really shouldn't be. Like, they're 2.5 and 3.0s, and then the intermediate players get frustrated. Like, I mean, it's not a science, but actually there is a system called the DUPR rating, DUPR, capital DUPR, and acronym for something, but I'll have to get back to that. But it really is, they're trying to rate the skill level of players, so that because it's such a fast growing sport that people really want to know where they are, and people who are regular players want them to know where they are, so they're not just joining, a group that they shouldn't be in. But if you're a 4.0, and there's so many people, like, it's advanced. 4.0 is advanced, and you can't imagine how many people are coming into the 4.0 play. And they're just not. And how many people are coming into the 3.5 play, and they're just not. They really need to spend a lot more time in the 2.5 to 3.0s and learn more shots and be coached, et cetera, and be patient with it. And
Right.
it's just like not the greatest experience for anyone to have, because they're going to get killed, and we're not going to get better because we're playing with players who are not quite there yet. And it's the same thing, to a degree, with voiceover. Pushing that envelope to a place where you're not ready to be is, it's a bit risky and a bit dangerous, because you want to present yourself as the polished package that you should be when you're seeking out high level representation.
That's really really great question, really great answer. And it actually, Terry Briscoe was just up on stage, but he popped off. But his question kind of pertains to this. He said, my question is from an agent standpoint, would you like to see your talent focus on conferences? And also, what advice in general would you give to someone who's attending their first big conference like Atlanta?
I'm sorry, would I want my clients to go to conferences? Is that part of the question?
Yes.
I don't necessarily advocate for it one way or the other. It really is, if they want to. I like I said before, I think it is, any experience is a learning experience. So if you have the time and you have the resources and the funds to do it, and you want to, then I certainly think it's a great idea. You meet so many people. I mean, you'll meet coaches, you'll meet your peers, you'll get to know what's going on in the industry, you'll get to know who's who. When you're on social media, you'll really understand more of the community. So I do think I would lean more yes than no, especially in this day and age, because it is so tied into so many areas of the voiceover day to day. By the way, years ago, like in the mid 90s and early 2000s, I don't know if you remember Promax, because it is still around, but it was the place to be for promos and TV affiliates to a degree. Now, then it spun off on its own. But yeah, like I was very anti recommend. I was not recommending that talent go there, and because I watch it sometimes and it's uncomfortable, because it's, a lot of people get a little too aggressive with an approach. And if you are there, look, if you're spending money to go to that conference like Promax, right? Like, you really want to get the most you can out of it. And I think people think that investment must translate into the connections, or they're going home without success. And I just think that, throwing your card at someone and having a conversation that isn't a free-flowing conversation, it's not a natural conversation, it's more of a pushy situation, like throwing a CD at somebody, it's like, it's just, it's not a great experience for anybody.
Yep. We always say on this, it's that, networking and marketing is all about relationship. It's not about here's my demo or here's my business card. It's get to know the person that you're speaking to and ask them about them.
We've said this a lot at conferences. A lot of the magic happens in the hallways and lobbies.
Yep.
Yeah. But in the hallways and lobbies, like, it's still a strategic game of
purpose,
right?
Purpose, for sure.
Yeah, right.
And we'll get back to pickleballs.
No, but I love that analogy.
Go for it, Emma.
Yeah, I think
Actually, just before Tim, I wanted to circle back to something that Mark that you said earlier on, because in your book you talk a lot about entrepreneurship, and earlier you talked about and you used the word the stew, and like I think about for voiceover talent at pretty much any level, there's like a number of areas, like these main core areas, like the meat and the vegetables and the starch and stuff like that that'll go into a good stew. I'm working with your analogy here, to find some degree of success in voiceover. So like training, performance, and the craft, technical abilities and gear, business, marketing, entrepreneurship. So to me, that's the stew. So how does a talent strike the right balance so that they make a tasty stew and they grow and thrive in voiceover?
Well, I mean, you really said it all in the of what the ingredients are. It is all of that, and again, in 2023 and beyond, you have all the resources and all the ability if you want to take advantage of it. It's too much for a lot of people, by the way, to want to, a lot of people just don't have that drive, or a lot of people just don't think that way. Like, if you're the kind of person that is just constantly thinking about the next thing, when I was little, I remember having a toy and wanting the next toy. Like, I just wanted the next thing. Like, I just got bored with it. It just like was my thing. Like, and I'd be like, oh, this is my favorite thing. My sister would be like, wasn't that your favorite thing? I'm like, no, this is now my favorite thing. And I would always exchange things. I would exchange toys. I would return toys, because I was done. Like hungry hippos. Like, how many times can you hit that hungry?
It's true.
Right? And now my daughter, who's 2 years old, I gave her, she has an iPad and she calls it the shows. So she's always like, shows. And to some people who criticize, that kind of screen time, I actually am an advocate of it, because she's learning so much, and I download the stuff, that I think she should be watching and learning, from. And if I had, so I had Hungry Hippos. Like, she has the version of Hungry Hippos, not Hungry Hippos, but whatever show, like Peppa Pig, right? And then she goes to the next thing, and the next, it's a million different toys in one. Like, it would, my head would spin and explode when I was, I don't even know if I could have handled that when I was little.
And it's amazing to see young children go on an iPad and device like that. It's just.
And I'm floored that she's swiping up. She's pressing the play button. She knows where that arrow is. Totally floored. She's 2. There are 2-year-olds who just pick up on this, and it's so incredible to watch. It really is.
Yeah. Let's circle back to our questions from the room. We got Tim up on stage. Thanks for being patient, Tim. We appreciate it. Glad you can make it tonight.
So Tim, it's showing that he is new to Clubhouse. So welcome to Clubhouse. The area on your phone where you tapped to raise your hand should now be a microphone. So there you go.
Is. Can you hear me now?
Yes, absolutely.
Terrific. And Mike, I wanted to thank you personally for earlier responding to my email so quick this afternoon, because it is my first time on Clubhouse and I was having a little bit of an issue with it. So thanks for scrambling.
I'm glad you got it sorted.
So I could be here tonight. And Mark, thank you for doing this. I just, the thing about the coaching and the promos are the 2 questions that I had, if you don't mind. But about 8 years ago, when I got out of broadcast radio, I started voiceover and was able to work with some great coaches in LA and San Diego, Joyce Castellanos and D. Candace Paul. But due to life circumstances, I had to get out of VO for a while, but now I'm fully back in, just finished my home studio. And as I'm going through and just trying to search, what's the best suggestion you have as far as coaching and where to look for it? Because there's so many options out there. And then the other question I have would be, I have a great commercial demo that was done by Chuck Duran with Demos at Rock, but I'm trying to determine, just based on the market today, what is the next best genre for demo that I should really go after.
By the way, congratulations for being a Clubhouse sensation now. Now you have 2 followers. It's me and Steven Snyder.
That's great.
So everybody follow Tim.
Just followed him.
Exactly. There we go.
I'm on it.
So as far as coaching goes, there are fabulous coaches out there. You just had one, didn't you just have Mary Lynn here?
We did, yes.
She's a good friend, yes. So many good coaches out there. So many coaches out there who claim to be coaches.
Exactly.
But you know what? Like it's what we were saying before about getting to know the landscape of the art. And that's where you observing what's going on, social media, could be Facebook or LinkedIn or wherever, who people are talking about, going to conferences, just getting in the know. And it takes a while to really understand that. I mean, Tim, you said Chuck did your demo, and
He did.
So how long ago?
That was 8 years ago.
So what have you been doing recently?
I was in VO for several years, but then some life circumstances made me get out of it. But recently, really as literally as 6 weeks ago, I quit the day job and spent the last 6 weeks getting my new home studio up and running, which as of yesterday, outside of Source Connect, which I'm getting done tomorrow, it's up and ready to go.
Do you feel like you had to quit
myself? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Do you feel like you had to quit your day job when you're just getting, on your feet again in voiceover?
I did, because I know the last time that I pursued this, the only way to really pursue it is to do it full time and put everything you have into it. And if I'm not going to take a chance on myself, who is?
All right, that's good. I mean, that's very that's very ambitious of you. I applaud you for that.
Well, and I do some moderating for town halls for congressmen and women, so that keeps a little side hustle going. But yeah, it's back to this has to be my main focus. Right. But I also realize that I need to get some coaching again, because it's been a few years, and I know you need to constantly improve your craft.
Right. Did you have an agent back in the day?
Yes, and I do have one here in Denver. I had Shaman Freitas was my agent in San Diego, that I worked out of LA and San Diego with. And then Danny's agency in Phoenix, Arizona. And then I'm with Big Fish Talent here in Denver, Colorado. So
you obviously have a voice that is somewhat bigger. So one would say, oh, like he should be doing promos, or he should be doing trailers, or he should be doing that type of narration. But were you and are you digging into commercial? Do you have an acting? Are you
Well, yeah, actually what I did with D. Candace Paul, that was Actors for Real in San Diego, that was the training I did with her was for film and episodic auditions, commercial auditions. And then I worked with Joyce Castellanos with One Stop BO for promo out of LA. And then another Phoenix Film Institute in Arizona that I did some work with.
I would suggest, and I would suggest this to anyone, because I call your commercial demo your quote unquote headshot, and you need to use it all the time. I would focus on commercial as much. Just focus on commercial as much as possible. Like the days of a talent agency having that strong promo department or trailer area, or someone who does just that. It's less and less of that, and it's more of agents who are more diversified, just like the talent should be. So I would dig into as much commercial work as possible, and without pressuring yourself to have to fulfill that promo need, because it's getting more and more competitive and less work in the promo world. Less promos using less voice talent, just following more and more in the footsteps of movie trailers.
Right. Well, and the one that Chuck Duran did for me was a commercial demo. And I've actually reached out to him as of today just to see about, after 8 years, I don't know if it's dated. You could probably tell me since I just submitted it to you guys at ACM about 30 minutes ago. FYI. So, but I was just trying to look at one, good sources to go to for quality coaching, and two, outside of the commercial demo, which I feel like still is, the best avenue of what other demos I should focus on first.
I wouldn't focus too much on this demo right now, because coming back into the game now, it's so different. It's so much. Emma, am I? I mean,
Yeah.
am I?
It's so different. It's so different.
Right?
I mean, I just redid my commercial demo. My demo producer's in the audience. I
Demo producer.
Yes. I redid mine, and I redo mine every 3 years, really, because the especially commercial changes so rapidly. Like within months, the delivery of what they're looking for changes so rapidly to a point where I've taken my current demo and actually reordered it based on, I had a bunch of agents and managers listen to it, and they're like, no, actually spot 3 should go first because that's more of what is being asked for right now.
Yep.
Right.
So something done 8 years ago, I would say, would not be helping you right now. Coaching would be the place to go.
Yeah.
Joyce is still coaching.
Tim, do you have it in you to go out and market yourself? I mean, do you have that? Is that what you're going to be doing on a day-to-day? Or are you looking for to cut through and get representation as soon as possible? Is it what's your goal?
One, I'm looking to get representation, but I also realize I need to market myself, and that's the other reason that I realized, look, it's time to go back full time, to just dedicate yourself to this and do that. And so the last 6 weeks has really been just primarily focused on getting the studio up and running and making sure that everything is operational and functional. And like I said, Source Connect is the last little thing to check off, which I'm doing tomorrow.
Right.
So, but
I would strategize every day. Right. I mean, I would strategize every day. You're the CEO of your own company. I would strategize every day to figure out how to make yourself as current, as successfully current, as a current commodity as possible. Sure. Like a current. I mean, it's very catch-22 as far as representation goes in voiceover. Just like it is in any area of representation in the entertainment industry, it's very catch-22. You have to. People say well, if I don't have the work and I don't have the auditions, how am I going to succeed and how am I going to get this? But you have the ability to dig into areas, and it's not easy and it's not for everyone to market to the corporate area, to market to the e-learning area, to market to, and market and go out there and make yourself visible and go out on social media and make your content valuable. Every post of value. How do you separate yourself from the pack? I mean, I'm afraid to get your answer on this. How social media savvy are you right now?
I'm probably mid-range. And that's
but it's part. But you know what? That's what's part. I mean, it's not like the getting your demo and the coaching. That's not the only answer, and it's not. And as Mike brought up again, it's not the stew. the stew is all of it, and you really have to be, unless you catch that quick break and someone makes an introduction and some agent is just, it doesn't happen that often. Like, it just has to, it's more organic, and it just is a natural, organic process. So one goes hand in hand. So start connecting with peers. Like, look at everybody here. Start connecting with them. Follow them. Ask to link in with them. Start bringing value to the table. Like, Tim Andrews putting something out there. 19 followers right now on Clubhouse. You have, starting to provide value to your peers should be something that you should be focusing on as you go out there and coach, and as you go out there and maybe not do a demo right this minute. Like, that could wait a second. I mean, maybe you want to refresh it, but maybe not do that quote unquote, timely demo right this minute, because I think it's going to evolve for you. I think you need to get back into the swing of it. I'm kind of energized and excited for you, because it is an exciting, time for you, and a reinvigorating time for you. So I would go for it, but take advantage of everything possible and start observing what's going on in the voiceover world in 2023. Do that with, right away. You're doing it on Clubhouse. Do it on Instagram. Do it on Facebook. Do it on Twitter. Do it on TikTok. Do it on LinkedIn. Do it on LinkedIn, and have LinkedIn tell you that you're done linking in with people next week.
Okay. And that's actually how I ended up here tonight, was via LinkedIn.
Good.
Your mission, should you choose to
one of the
accept it.
focuses, every morning getting up and going through, and that's how I'm starting my day is with the social media.
Amazing.
I've got to get up to speed on Instagram and those kind of things.
Well, I mean, if you don't want to, get yourself too overwhelmed, LinkedIn is a great place to focus on, and maybe another platform here or there, but that's where it really is at. Like, everyone's there.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. I appreciate your time.
All right, I'm rooting for you, Tim.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
All right,
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Emma.
Glad you
You're
can make
very
it.
welcome.
Thanks, Tim.
And we're going to bring Brennan up, because Brennan originally asked the question about audiobooks.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yes, there you are.
Okay, all right, perfect. So yeah, I'm a girl. Hi.
I'm on a phone, so I can't see your picture very well.
Oh, that's okay. That's all right. I get that so much. So I think Emma really asked the perfect question. So I got my theater degree, maybe about 15 years ago. At no point during my degree did anybody say, oh, by the way, there's this little offshoot. You could do voiceovers, you could do audiobooks, you could do this, you could do that. I mean, that never comes up. Mm-hmm. They're all about stage and the big time and going to Broadway, and then you get pregnant your senior year and you get married and have kids, and everything just kind of falls into place after that. So now that my kids are grown and I'm ready 100% to get back into it, I started doing audiobooks, and don't get me wrong, I love doing audiobooks. It's so much fun and it's a really great outlet, but I need to act. This is like, I'm dying here. And so, I put all my stuff out. I've got paper with my name on it everywhere. And, and as I'm following on LinkedIn, I see these people that are like, oh, my agent got me this job. Thank you so much to this person. They got me here. They got me this audition, that audition. And I think I've put my resume / headshot / whatever into like 3 or 4 different agencies, some of them in New York City, because I'm in Albany. So, I mean, it's a short 2.5 hour drive for me. So, I mean, I'd be more than willing to drive out there and, audition for whatever.
You don't have to drive anywhere, by the way. By the way, I went to SUNY Albany undergrad.
Oh, you did? Yeah, I went to Buff State. And I grew up in
Oh, nice.
Syracuse, so.
And I went to Syracuse Law School.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. But you don't have to. You could be on the moon as long as they have Wi-Fi and Source Connect.
Right,
does the moon have Source Connect yet? I don't know. But I think it's great, by the way, that you have that acting background. I think that it's great that you have that thirst for, just digging in and getting into it. So, and by the way, you said, I didn't realize when I was studying theater that that voiceover and all the branches of it existed. And by the way, nobody here, looking at like all these people here, I get like there's a really good chance that no. And if someone did say that this was their dream, I don't know. I want to talk to them about it. Everybody here backed their way into voiceover. Like I thought,
or tripped into it or pushed.
Right. Like I thought I was going to be. I graduated from law school. I thought I was going to be a motion picture agent, like the stereotypical agent, like Entourage. Like that's what I thought I was going to be: motion picture and TV. That's what most people think, but I found that, I happened to discover commercial and voiceover within it because I happened to be at an agency and there was an opportunity there. And that's just the way it happened. And everyone here has a similar story of finding their way into voiceover. And I don't know, like, when did you really discover it?
I really discovered it as my daughter was growing up and got into anime, and I said, "Wow, that's it. That's what that's really what I can see myself doing for the rest of my life." Just because it's just so. It's so intense.
And by the way, as far as the stew goes, like anime is like the what? Like the pepper that you don't even see, right?
Yeah.
Right.
It totally is. And if you're not into it, like if you're not into anime and following the anime, it's just kind of like
it's a whole specific world. Yeah, but that's cool because again, that is a part of voiceover, and we didn't even bring that up, but it is a part of voiceover, and there's so many branches to it. That's what's so exciting about it. That's why I tell my clients. That's why I always look for and tell my clients that you should strive to be the most diversified talent out there. Like just because if for whatever reason narration that you might have a great career with, that you're on a whole bunch of series, if for whatever reason a new creative director comes in or the series gets canceled or whatever, like, so there's a dip there, and how about an upswing in commercial? How about an upswing in promo or books or whatever? So balance yourself out. Like don't like just because you're doing well in one area of voiceover, don't ever rely on that.
Right. Well, that's kind of when I started trying to branch out about a year ago. I mean, I sent my stuff into Blizzard and Funimation and Crunchyroll and some other places, just to get out there. And I've gotten some feedback, but I haven't gotten that, hey, we think you'd be good for this. Why don't you send us an audition? So I think it's more me getting frustrated that I'm putting in the effort that, I know I have to put in, and I'm totally ready for all the hard work because, that's what they teach you, that this is hard. So I just,
but you don't have representation, but you're not booking what? But what?
But I'm not booking. I'm not booking for what I want. So I'm just.
Do you think you're getting enough opportunities?
No.
Okay, no. So, but it's all this process, it's that catch-22 again. There are certain areas that you should be focusing on to keep yourself sane, keep yourself busy, keep yourself active, keep yourself hopefully booking, and that transitions into the work that you think you should be doing for the certain level of work that voiceover talent aspire to.
So but get it, like, is getting an agent, is being part association with an agency, is that like that a fruitful venture that I should also be like 100% going for, or just the auditioning?
Yes, but not until you have not until you can make a really good case for it.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is, I personally believe, and it is more and more the case now in voiceover representation, is you have to present yourself as a business partner to the representation agent or manager, and coming in and saying, hey, I want you to do everything for me. Like, just because you have a demo and just because you're ready everybody has a demo and everybody's ready and everyone has a studio and everyone has Source Connect and everyone has why would they want to work with someone who isn't more established? And how do you become more established? You need more opportunities, but there is a way to get opportunities. Might not be the opportunities that they would be getting you, but show them that you developed a great portfolio of it. It also shows that you know what you're doing. It shows that you are more seasoned, and it shows that you could be successful. You just need those opportunities, but you're doing well on your own. But again, very tough to do it, and it's not for everyone. But there are, Mike, Emma, there are a lot of people who are doing that and are succeeding, but it's very challenging.
Right.
Like everything else.
Video games, like Voice Casting Hub, they don't pay fantastic, but they've got amazing opportunities for, especially if you're starting within video game and you're looking for character work. Twitter for animation and video game is a gold mine.
Oh, I'm everywhere. I'm on Fiverr too. So,
you said the F word.
But not really.
Sorry.
But it isn't taboo, and I talk about this all the time. Like, everything is fair game, and it's part of the world of voiceover. So there's nothing to be ashamed about in voiceover. You just do the best you can, and you decide over time whether or not it's for you, or you want to continue to have it as part of your world.
Right. Okay.
It can be really frustrating. I came from the world of theater too. I have an honors degree. I'm going to actually frame my degree. I found it.
After cleaning your basement studio, you found your degree. I
certainly did. I found it.
You're officially not a fraud, Emma?
It's still in an envelope. I've never framed it, and I'm old. But so it can be really. But that's kind of the nature of the beast in entertainment. It's a lot of. So much of it is tenacity. So much of it is hanging on and keep going and find your joy in everything that you're doing.
Right.
Yeah. There are, like Emma was saying, the opportunities are out there, and depending on what genre you're talking about, maybe it's Twitter. If it's something else, maybe it's LinkedIn. If it's something else, maybe it's a pay-to-play. They're all over the place. And so, like Mark was saying earlier, you have to, kind of tune yourself in to the world you want to be a part of, and sort of listen and look and go, okay, where is this stuff happening? And then you'll gravitate towards that. That's just the way it will be. But to what Mark's saying, you want to be able to bring something to the table and not just go in seeking representation from a place of need and want.
Right.
The percentage of actors who succeed are very, very low in the entertainment industry in any area, including television. And when Will Arnett, whoever, seems to be somewhat of a household name now, Will Arnett, when he was in my office year after year after year, just like joking around with everyone and going out to LA for pilot season, coming back, and it didn't happen. And then went out for pilot season again, and it didn't happen. And it just kept going and going and going. And then Arrested Development happened, and then things started rolling. But Arrested Development doesn't happen for a lot of other people. It happened, and it worked out. But he hung in there, and a lot of people hung in there, but a lot of people didn't hang in there. So you initially started saying that, well, I'm just not booking. Well, they went out to LA and they didn't get the pilot. And it's not because they weren't talented. And it's not, like there's a casting director who whittled it down to Will Arnett and probably 5 other people. And there's a really good chance that the other 4 would have done fine. And there's a really good chance that a casting director in voiceover who whittles it down to the top 5 females for the mom in this role would be phenomenal. They would all sound phenomenal. They just have to choose. They have to select someone. So just hope that it's, that you're in the mix and that you get selected for that next one. And it's even bigger than the one that you didn't get, but it's just hanging in there. If you, believe in, your talent, you have a theater background, just keep doing what you're doing, and you have the time for it now. So that's great. Tomorrow morning, you have a lot of creative thinking to do.
Oh yeah, 100%. I don't intend to give up ever.
Great.
Ever.
We hear the fire. We hear the fire. It's
I'm so ready.
You're fired up. Brendan, thank you so much for being with us and bringing the fire to wrap up this night. It's been fire.
Thank you for answering all my questions, Mark. Thank you so much. And just all your answers have been
And you're so unique. You have a unique name. Everyone's going to remember you.
I know. I hope so. They just can't pronounce it. That's all.
Wait, what do you mean? You're talking about your last name or your?
No, my last name.
Oh, okay. Got it. But Brennan, that's like, so cool.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
All right. Thanks, guys, so much.
All right.
Thanks, Brennan.
Wow. Wow.
Brennan with the smash.
Seriously.
Bring it all back. Emma.
What an incredible night. This has been phenomenal. I knew it was going to be good. I had a feeling it was going to be good, but it's been like super, super, super duper good. Thank you so much, Mark. Like it's one of the things that I absolutely adore about you is that, it's like, you're Marc Guss. Everyone's like, oh my God, it's Mark. You're so generous with your time and your knowledge and your experience. And it's so refreshing to constantly have that reiterated, that every time someone asks you a question, you're always so kind and so encouraging. And it really makes a difference in people's worlds. So thank you for what you do, and thank you for being here.
Well, I appreciate it because it is the button business, like it is. And if you made it your own, like I get excited. I still get excited about like what can still be. Like I'm not just okay with the way it is. Like there's always going to be like what's next, and how do I make more? How do I make the opportunities for my clients even better? So that's the game that we play every day.
I love it. In case you missed it earlier, I mentioned pinned Mark's website up at the top of the room, marcguss.com. If you haven't checked out his book, either in audiobook format or even in hardcover available like that, it's great for your coffee table. And if tonight has left you wanting more, you don't have far to go.
Oh, that was so Canadian. Oh,
far to go. I'm like that. I think I channeled a little bit of Gordon Pinsent there.
There goes there's my answer when I asked you earlier.
Yeah.
It's all about. You don't have far to go or long to wait. You can catch Mark weekly with Instincts of a Talent Agent audio event over on LinkedIn tomorrow night. 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 Pacific. Mark, thank you again so much.
Thank you for having me, Mike. I really appreciate it too. Look forward to chatting with you, getting to know you better. And Emma, you're fantastic, and you just keep pushing along. I love it.
Thank you. I will.
Thanks also to our audience and our supporters. We really appreciate the encouragement and connections and push on social media. We can't do it without you. You are our big VORT community, so we can't do it without you. We love it. Emma?
Yeah. I'm going to say that, at 9:09 p.m., I'm going to call this, because this is, we could go all night. Like, people still have their hands up. There's still stuff going on. But we respect your time. And again, thank you for this. And we will be back next week, 7:30 p.m. EST, 4:30 p.m. PST, with the very unique, the unicorn herself, Miss Ellie Ray.
Oh my gosh.
I know. I'm so excited.
I have to go buy glitter.
You do. Glitter and fairy dust.
Exactly. Oh, that's going to be awesome. So
Yeah.
next week, Voiceover Round Table. We'll hear you there.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Mark.
you.
Have a great night. Take
Good
care.
night.